right, so how do we want to do this together? Should we just read? Have I told you, did I give you that piece of advice about how to like take notes as you're reading on these passages?
You like told me about how you like look at the first paragraph and the last paragraph, and I was doing that when I was doing it with the book too, and that actually was like helping me a lot.
So I also recommended last week that you try out going straight to the questions and skipping.
Oh yeah, that yeah.
Did you try that?
No, I didn't try just going straight to the questions. I was just like skimming and like trying to get like the main idea from it, and then I was like going to the questions. But no, I haven't tried going straight to the questions first.
Okay, so I normally don't recommend that. I do recommend it for the science passage, for the science section of the ACT, but for the SAT reading, I don't normally recommend it because I think they ask so many questions that are sort of big idea questions that it's worth reading the whole passage if you have time.
Yeah.
But since you said last time you were kind of short on time, I thought maybe you could try it out and see how it worked for you.
Yeah.
But here's another thing that I sometimes recommend to students that I think can help kind of save time in a way. At first, it takes a little bit longer, but with practice, it actually saves you time. Because like, how many times have you had that experience where you, like you're reading and you get through a paragraph or two paragraphs, and then you're like, oh shoot, I have no idea what I just read.
Yeah, I like am thinking about something else and I literally
Totally
didn't
zoned
retain
out.
it at all. Yeah.
Totally space, right? So yeah, that can happen. And one thing that I think can help with that is taking notes as you read. It helps keep you focused.
Yeah.
And it also has the other advantage of like when you're looking for answers later, the notes might help direct you where to look.
Yeah, I definitely like do highlight like a lot of like the
Good.
important stuff.
Yeah, highlighting that's a great way to do
like
it.
I love doing that.
Okay, good. So then maybe this isn't a tip for you because I think highlighting is already great, but I'll show you anyways, just in case you want to try this out.
Yeah.
So basically the way I recommend is as you're reading each paragraph, stop and take a little note in the margin.
Okay.
And the note could be one word or two words or a sentence or a phrase, whatever like comes to mind quickly. Like I don't want you to spend any time thinking about what to write. You know, I want it to save you time. But I do want you kind of thinking about as you're reading what you're going to write. Like, and so the thing you're going to write is going to try to sum up what this paragraph's about. So I'll kind of show you how I do it and maybe you'll get the hang of it. So though there are 600 million cars on the planet and counting, there are also 7 billion people, which means that for the vast majority of us, getting around involves, oh, my phone is buzzing at me, sorry. Which means that for the vast majority of us, getting around involves taking buses, ferry boats, commuter trains, streetcars, and subways. In other words, traveling to work, school, or the market means being a strap hanger, somebody who, by choice or necessity, relies on public transportation rather than a privately owned automobile. Okay, so I would just say like, most people don't own cars.
Yeah. I was really thinking, I was like, most people, yeah, I was really thinking that too. So
yeah, or most people take public transportation or something like that. All right, so notice that that isn't exactly a sentence.
Yeah.
It would have been hard to come up with a word to summarize that. So that just came to mind. So I just wrote it down. I didn't really think hard about what I should write.
Yeah.
But I was, as I was reading, thinking about what this would be, because that's kind of the point of it, is to help keep you focused as you're reading. Like, what is this paragraph about?
Yeah.
Which is kind of what you always want to be thinking when you're reading, right?
Yeah.
So just, I think it kind of helps to focus you.
Okay.
So let's keep going. Half the population of New York, Toronto, and London do not own cars. Public transportation is how most of the people of Asia and Africa, the world's most populous continents, travel. Every day, subway systems carry 155 million passengers, 34 times the number carried by all world's airplanes, and the global public transportation market is now valued at $428 billion annually. A century and a half after the invention of the internal combustion engine, private car ownership is still an anomaly. Fun. All right, so what is this saying? It seems like it's like ownership statistics. Ownership stats. I'll even put car in there, car ownership stats. Although maybe it's more of like a public transportation stats, but whatever. Maybe I could just put stats and that would be better.
Yeah.
And yet, public transportation in many minds is the opposite of glamour, a squalid last resort for those, it's a good word, for those with one too many impaired driving charges, too poor to afford insurance, or too decrepit to get behind the wheel of a car. Another good word. In much of North America, they are right. Taking transit is a depressing experience. Any of you who has waited far too long on a street corner for the privilege of boarding a lurching, overcrowded bus, or wrestled luggage onto subways and shuttles to get to a big city airport knows that transit on this continent tends to be, oh, your mouse is in my way,
Oh, sorry.
underfunded, ill-maintained, and ill-planned. Given the opportunity, who wouldn't drive? Hopping in a car almost always gets you to your destination more quickly. So North American public transport sucks.
True.
I think that's what they're saying.
Yeah. No, literally. They're literally saying that.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be like this. Done right, public transport can be faster, more comfortable, and cheaper than the private automobile. In Shanghai, German-made magnetic levitation trains skim over elevated track at 266 miles per hour, whisking people to the airport at a third the speed of sound. In provincial French towns, electric-powered streetcars run silently on rubber tires, sliding through narrow streets along a single guide rail into cobblestones. From Spain to Sweden, Wi-Fi equipped high-speed trains seamlessly connect with highly ramified, I don't know what that word means, highly ramified metro networks, allowing commuters to work on laptops as they prepare for same-day meetings in once distant capital cities. In Latin America, China, and India, working people board fast-loading buses that move like subway trains along blah, 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 dedicated busways, leaving the sedans and SUVs, the rich mired in dawn to dusk traffic jams. And some cities have transformed their streets into cycle path freeways, making giant strides in public health and safety and the sheer livability of their neighborhoods. In the process, turning the workaday bicycle into a viable form of mass transit. Okay, so this is actually a really good example of where I don't want to write anything. I'm just gonna highlight this first sentence because I feel like that is what I would write.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can do this with a highlighter. If there is a sentence that sums up the whole paragraph, often the first sentence of the paragraph. And I feel like this one does that really well. So this paragraph, I feel like is completely encapsulated in this first sentence.
Yeah.
So
They're
I'm
just
not
explaining the other like options in different countries. So
right. The whole rest of it is just giving details on how else it could be. So
yeah.
just leave it at that. All right, let's keep going. If you credit the demographers, don't know what that word means. I mean, I do, but
I don't.
you know what a demographic is?
Yeah. Wait, like I know that word. I know like, is it just like a statistic about like people?
Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah. So demographers are just people who collect statistics about people.
Okay.
This transit trend has legs. The millennials, scare quotes, reached adulthood around the turn of the century and now outnumber baby boomers, tend to favor cities over suburbs, and are far more willing than their parents to ride buses and subways. That's true. Part of the reason is their ease with iPad, MP3 players, Kindles, and smartphones. You can get some serious texting done when you're not driving, and earbuds offer effective insulation from all of the most extreme commuting annoyances. So I think this transit trend has legs. In other words, change is coming.
Yeah.
Or it's changing, if you prefer, or whatever. Yeah. Even though there are more teenagers in the country than ever, only 10 million have a driver's license. Baby boomers have been raised to and leave it to beaver suburbs, but as they retire, significant contingents favoring older cities and compact towns where they have an option of walking and riding bikes. Seniors, too, are more likely to use transit. And by 2025, there will be 64 million Americans over the age of 65. Already, dwellings in older neighborhoods in Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Denver, especially those near light rail or subway stations, are commanding enormous price premiums over suburban homes. The experience of European and Asian cities shows that if you make buses, subways, and trains convenient, comfortable, fast, and safe, a surprisingly large percentage of citizens will opt to ride them rather than drive. Okay. So what did you think of that strategy? Is that, you see how that can be helpful?
That definitely helped. And I think it's just good because you're right. I will read it and then not retain it. But if I actually am thinking about what I want to annotate it with, I feel like that would definitely help me, and it did. So
cool. All right, so let's try and answer some questions. Oh, we got statistics here. That's fun. Primary occupation of public transportation passengers. So occupation of people who ride, and purpose of public transportation.
Okay.
All right. What function does the third paragraph serve in the passage as a whole? Hey, look, we literally did that. Look, third paragraph, 20. We said North American public transit sucks. All right, let's see if that answer is on. It acknowledges that a practice favored by the author of the passage has some limitations. It illustrates with detail the arguments made in the first two paragraphs. It gives an overview of a problem that has not been sufficiently addressed by the experts mentioned in the passage. It advocates for abandoning practice for which the passage as a whole provides mostly favorable data. Well, none of those really seems like what we wrote, does it?
Yeah.
I guess it does give an overview of a problem. How North America.
Yeah, no, I think that one definitely is the most accurate.
It's like what we wrote, except
yeah, kind of
nicer. So let's be a lesson. When you have a job and you're trying to tell your boss that something sucks, instead say, I'd like to provide an overview of a problem that's not been sufficiently addressed.
Yeah, that'll sum it up.
All right. Which choice does the author explicitly cite as an advantage of automobile travel in North America? Explicitly. So what does explicitly mean?
Actually states
Good.
Yeah.
So the opposite of that would be implicitly.
Yeah. Oh.
Which is they imply it.
Yeah.
But don't actually say it.
Oh.
All right. So an advantage of automobile travel in North America.
Okay.
So probably in that same paragraph about North America.
Yeah.
And here at the bottom, hopping in a car almost always gets you to your destination more quickly.
Yeah.
So
it's not speed, right?
It is speed.
Oh, wait. Oh, is it talking about
an advantage?
We're talking about automobile, not
automobile. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I thought I was talking about public transportation.
Yeah, I thought that too at first. But yeah, you have to read carefully.
Yeah, I gotta actually read the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I was a little confused when I thought that. I thought he saw public transportation. I was like, if I remember correctly, he didn't have anything good to say.
Yeah, he really didn't have anything to say about it.
In North America, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of what made me do a double take and reread it.
Yeah.
Okay. Which choice provides the best evidence? Oh, dang it. This is the thing that we were supposed to do.
Oh, we were supposed to do that one first. Yeah.
Fortunately, we did that work. That's exactly the sentence I picked up, right?
Yeah. Perfect.
All right, so let's try that on the next one.
Yeah.
As that which choice best supports. And actually 17 and 18 are the same way.
Okay.
So let's do these now. So which choice provides the best evidence for the answer to the previous question? So what is the previous question? The central idea of the fourth paragraph is what? So we're looking for the central idea of the fourth paragraph, 35 through 57. And our choices are line 35. It doesn't have to be like this. That is the one that I circled.
Yeah.
As being the central idea of the fourth paragraph. So
yeah.
Should we look at the other ones?
I mean, sure, I guess.
Yeah, I think we can settle on that.
Yeah.
So that provides the best answer. And what is that sentence saying? European countries excel, kind of. Some public transportation systems are superior to travel by private automobile. Definitely, that's the opposite of what's saying. Yeah. Americans should mimic foreign public transportation systems when possible. That seems to be right, because then he goes on to give
that's so easy. I need to do that all the time with those kind of questions.
You like that strategy?
Yeah, that actually helps so much. I hate those kind of questions. So
it especially helps that they picked out the one that I was like, hey, this sentence sums up this
yeah, that does help a little bit.
All right, but let's try it again for 18.
Okay.
Which choice best supports the conclusion that public transportation is compatible with the use of personal electronic devices? Okay, so this is not quite the same construction. This isn't linked to 17, but still kind of the same idea. So what is the conclusion? That public transportation is compatible with the use of personal electronic devices. So which sentence best supports that conclusion? Let's 59 through 63. If you credit the demographers, trend has legs. The millennials who reach adulthood around the turn of the century now outnumber baby boomers and tend to favor cities in terms of suburbs. Far more willing to their, so that's, I think it's the very next sentence that I like.
It's the one when they talk about like the MP3 players and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. I think it's that one too.
So part of the reason, starting in 63, I guess.
Yeah, 63 to 67. Yeah.
Great. All right, did it. Okay, so let's go back to number 16. As used in line 58, what does credit mean? Okay, so these kinds of questions, 16 and 17 are both the same one, where credit can mean all of these four things, depending on context.
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
So in some sentences, credit might mean any of them.
Yeah.
So we have to figure out which one does it mean here. If you credit the demographers, this transit trend has legs. So can you try to rephrase that sentence? What do you think that sentence is saying? So demographers,
you credit, it's like if you like listen to what they're saying and like actually, exactly. So like, would it be honor?
If you believe them, if you believe them.
Believe. Okay, yeah, believe. Okay.
Oh, good. That's a choice. I didn't mean for that to be a choice, but yeah, if you believe them, right? If you give them credit, if you listen to what they're saying, that's how you put it, right?
Yeah.
So honor would be more like give credit where it's due.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Like this person did a good thing, we should give them credit for that. So that in that sense, it's honor. Credit in the attribute sense would be like if you credit this person with I don't know. Actually, I'm kind of trying to think of a sentence where credit.
Yeah, I was like, wait, that's like a hard way to use credit, I feel like.
Credit. So I don't know. So you have, say you have an Olympic runner and you're like, credit this person with speed. That doesn't. I don't know. Actually, I can't come up with a sentence off the top of my head where that works.
Yeah.
Credit with like endow. This is probably more like a money thing. Like you are given credit for like you're being credited the money or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Favor can mean any of these. So let's look at line 61. Look at favor. The millennials who reached adulthood around the turn of the century and now a number of baby boomers tend to favor cities over suburbs.
Prefer.
Yeah. Seems like a pretty easy one.
Yeah.
Okay, which choice is supported by the data in the first figure? All right, so let's look at that first figure. These are talking about occupations of transport passengers.
Yeah.
Employed outside the home. That's a really broad category.
Yeah, what?
People who have jobs that aren't at home.
That's like literally so many people.
Yeah, so that's everyone who's not doesn't have a job because they're unemployed, or doesn't have a job because they're retired, or doesn't have a job because they're a homemaker, right? Like a stay-at-home parent or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Stay-at-home spouse, or they're a student, so they don't have a job, or some other reason. So like working from home, I guess.
Yeah.
I assume this data was definitely taken before.
Yeah, I was like, my mom works from home.
I'm sure this would be different today. I also am working from home right now.
Yeah, literally.
Okay, so what data is supported by, what choice is supported by data? The number of students using public transportation is greater than the number of retirees. Students, oh, that seems right. Great, done. Right, students 10.7, retired 6.7.
Yeah.
That seems pretty straightforward.
Taken together.
All right, let's look at that second one to try to answer this question. Figure 2, what is the purpose? So the main purpose is work. And the main users are people who work. So those sort of seem to suggest something together. Let's look. Most people who use public transportation are employed outside the home and take public transportation to work. Well, that seems pretty straightforward too.
Yep.
Yeah, so I feel like those two questions are really just testing like on a really basic level. Do you know how to read a pie chart?
Yeah.
Like those questions were not very insightful questions. And generally on the SAT, when they ask questions about charts and graphs and figures, they're usually like that.
Yeah.
They're usually really
straightforward.
Just basic, like,
yeah.
Can you just read?
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, like I've always noticed that when they have like a graph or something, the questions are pretty like straight up. Like,
yeah. And the ACT science section is an entire section where it's about that. And they get a little harder. Actually, they get quite a bit harder than that. But there's still kind of the same idea where it's like, if you can just closely and carefully read a chart, then you know the answers. That's really what they're looking for.
Yeah, for like the ACT like science part, like is it like mostly like that stuff, like graphs and stuff, or is it like actual like straight up like science questions that like?
No.
Okay.
So the ACT science test is not, contrary to the name, it's not testing how much science do you know.
Okay.
So it's not like the math test where it's testing how much math you know. It's much more like the reading test where it's testing how well can you read, but specifically it's testing how well can you read science-y things.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
That makes sense.
Like either science-y writing or charts, graphs, figures, and tables.
Oh, okay.
So that's mostly what it's about.
Yeah.
The amount of science that they actually expect you to bring into it, like the prerequisite knowledge, is super basic stuff. Like,
okay, good.
Do you know what gravity is? And like basically how it works? Like you don't need to know any specifics, but like, do you know that any two objects that have mass are attracted to each other?
Yeah.
That's it. Do you know what protons, electrons, and neutrons are? Do you know what an atom is? Do you know basically what a molecule is? Do you know what natural selection is and what drives it? Do you know what hereditary means? And maybe how to make a Punnett square?
I know how to make that.
Yeah. So it's like all the stuff like that you would learn in the first month of biology, physics, and chemistry.
Yeah, literally. I was like, wait, I literally just learned all of that in biology like last year.
Yeah, it's just really, really basic science stuff.
Yeah.
And then anything more advanced than that, it will be in the passage. They'll give you the answers.
That's good. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So
out of the other row now.
What? Down. Yeah, we gotta come down.
Like, here. Yeah. Okay. Passage 2 of like.
So this is a 2-part passage.
Oh.
So we're gonna read these 2 passages together and answer questions.
Oh, I like got tripped up because we did like the questions next to it. That's my bad.
Yeah. Those are for the previous passage.
Okay.
Okay, so when there is a little intro, I think it's usually worth reading. Sometimes it gives you some stuff. So let's get some context. Passage 1 is adapted from Talleyrand et al. Report on Public Instruction, originally published in 1991. Passage 2 is adapted from Mary Wollstonecraft, A Vindication of the Rights of Woman, originally published in 1792. So these are published 1 year apart. Talleyrand was a French diplomat. The report was a plan for national education. Wollstonecraft, a British novelist and political writer, wrote Vindication in response to Talleyrand. Okay, so passage 2 is specifically written as a response to passage 1.
Okay.
Right, so context, I feel like that can be helpful.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to try the strategy again where we're going to be reading and writing as notes as we go, but I'm going to let you do it this time. So we'll read and then I want you to tell me what to write, or at least suggest it and we can talk about it.
Yeah.
All right. That half the human race is excluded by the other half from any participation in government, that they are native by birth but foreign by law in the very land where they were born, and that they are property owners yet have no direct influence or representation are all political phenomena apparently impossible to explain on abstract principle. But on another level of ideas, the question changes and may be easily resolved. The purpose of all these institutions must be the happiness of the greatest number. Everything that leads us farther from this purpose is in error. Everything that brings us closer is truth. If the exclusion from public employments decreed against women leads to a greater sum of mutual happiness for the two sexes, then this becomes a law that all societies have been compelled to acknowledge and sanction.
Hold on. Let me read that last sentence again. This is like confusing.
It is
I
confusing.
like barely know what it's talking about. Is it talking about like jobs for women?
Yes.
Is he trying to say that like like the last part, I think that's the most like knowledgeable part. It's like, is that like the main idea of that little part is like the last sentence, but I kind of like don't even know what it's saying.
Yeah. Okay. So you know what? Let's go back and read this intro thing again, and I'm gonna analyze this a little bit and see what I noticed from it that I think is helpful for context.
Yeah.
So first thing is it's written in 1791. So
Yeah.
as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, this is going to be hard to read.
Yeah.
Right. So like expect that going into it.
Yeah.
Also notice that Mary Wollstonecraft, A Vindication of the Rights of Woman. So this sounds like something written by a female rights activist, right?
Yeah.
She wrote a response to something.
That's the second passage.
The second passage is Mary Wollstonecraft, the female activist, responding to a passage. So my assumption going into it is that
this is like a kind of sexist, like,
yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I didn't want to just like say that. And
yeah. So I'm expecting this is going to be sexist and this is going to be anti-sexist.
Yeah. So is it like, is it like kind of saying that like if women don't work and it leads to more happiness, then we should just keep it like that? Yes. Okay.
Right. So this expectation going into this passage, knowing, kind of expecting this to have some sexist point of view. Yeah. As soon as I started reading this, that half the human race is excluded by the other half from anti-discrimination government, I knew right away this was talking about women.
Oh yeah. Okay. Right? I like kind of didn't even like understand that part, but yeah, that makes sense now. Okay.
So that's the sort of expectations set up here can help you interpret something that's hard to read. That they are native by birth but foreign by law in the very land where they were born, and that they are property owners yet have no direct influence or representation, are all political phenomena apparently impossible to explain on an abstract principle. Okay, so he's basically saying, here's these things that seem bad and they're hard to explain. Okay. But, okay, so he has but, and that's a bad but, right? If a person says like, hey, here's a bunch of sexist ideas that are hard to explain, I'm like, yeah, those are sexist ideas and they are hard to explain. And then he goes, but, and I'm like, okay, here comes the sexist part.
Yeah.
So, but on another level of ideas, the question changes and may be easily resolved. All right. Lay it on me, bud. Go ahead and easily resolve your sexism.
Yeah. Please try.
Yeah. The purpose of all of these institutions must be the happiness of the greatest number. Okay, here it is. So you're going to make everyone happier by all this sexism?
That's so messed up.
Explain that to me, please. Everything that leads us further from this purpose, happiness, is in error. Everything that brings us closer is truth. Okay, sexism is true and good.
Yeah. Well,
as long as it makes people happier. If the exclusion from public employments decreed against women leads to a greater sum of mutual happiness for the two sexes, then this becomes a law that all societies have been compelled to acknowledge and sanction. All right, so you're definitely gonna have to prove this to me here. What's your name? Talleyrand?
Yeah.
Mr. Talleyrand. Okay, but this is his claim. He's setting up his thesis for his whole passage. He's claiming that exclusion from public employments decreed against women leads to a greater sum of mutual happiness to the two sexes.
Yeah, so like the annotation thing should be like, just like if women don't have jobs, the two genders will be happier.
Yeah.
What do you think? But like,
yeah. Or I'll simplify it even more.
Yeah.
Sexism makes people happy.
Yeah, that's literally what do you say?
Yeah, not sure I buy it, Mr.
That's so like weird.
Talleyrand.
He's like blaming it on like happiness. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, let's see what you have to say about that yourself.
I'm excited for like the rebuttal.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be way better. Although probably equally hard to read, but
Yeah, true.
all right. Any other ambition would be a reversal of our primary destinies, and it will never be in women's interest to change the assignment they have received.
Okay.
All right. It seems to us incontestable that our common happiness, above all that of women, requires that they never aspire to the exercise of political rights and functions. It seems to us incontestable. What does that word mean, do you think?
Like indisputable.
Yeah. Okay, so you're just not going to dispute it? Like he's not going to make the argument?
Yeah, what? That's
He's
so
like, well,
weird.
obviously,
Yeah.
it's better for everyone if women never aspire to the exercise of political rights and functions.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay, 1792. Is it not apparent that their delicate constitutions, their peaceful inclinations, and the many duties of motherhood set them apart from strenuous habits and onerous duties, and summon them to gentle occupations and the cares of the home? All right. Okay. So what does that mean?
That women are meant to take care of children and stay in the house?
Yeah.
Pretty much, or like.
But why? Why is that? Why are they meant to do that?
Because it makes the people happier or something.
Well, yeah, but I mean, specifically in this sense, he's basically saying because of how they are.
Oh.
Right? He doesn't, I mean, because
Your
women are
indications. Oh yeah, okay, that makes. Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
because they have delicate constitutions. Basically, it's meaning like they're easily made sick or tired or
what? Oh
right? God. Delicate constitution. They don't have a lot of fortitude or wherewithal, or they're not tough, essentially is what he's saying here. They're peaceful inclinations, right? So they're not forceful. They're not they easily go along with what people suggest.
Yeah, easily right? Like manipulated, yeah.
Which is not good for business or law, right? For a business person or lawyer, you don't want someone with peaceful inclination. You want someone who's going to stand up for themselves. And women don't do that. And that is, that's in their nature. That's how women are. Also, obviously, the duties of motherhood. Yeah. Those three things set them apart from strenuous habits and onerous duties and summon them to gentle occupations and cares of the home. Okay, cool. So let's sum that up. Women should stay, I misspelled should stay home because of how they are. Isn't it sad that like these arguments are still echoed today?
Yeah, like it actually like baffles me how people could like still think like that.
Yeah.
I honestly like don't get it, but
one of the things I like about reading old stuff, like old political arguments, and also hate about it, is how like we're still making the same arguments. Like so frustrating.
So I know I'm like, what? Like literally reading this, I'm like, what the? It's so weird.
Yeah. All right. And is it not evident that the great conserving principle of societies, which makes the division of powers a source of harmony, has been expressed and revealed by nature itself, when it divided the functions of the two sexes in so obviously distinct a manner? This is sufficient. We need not invoke principles that are inapplicable to the question. Let us not make rivals of life's companions. you truly must allow the persistence of a union that no interest, no rivalry can possibly undo. Understand that the good of all demands this of you. So in other words, men, women are meant to be partners, not rivals.
Yeah.
Meant to be partners. All right, cool. Sexist and homophobic.
Yeah. Wow.
Rolled in one. Okay. What do you think about that passage? You feel like you get it?
Yeah, I get it. I think I do.
All right. Passage 2, here we go, counterpoints.
Yay.
Contending for the rights of woman, my main argument is built on this simple principle, that if she be not prepared by education to become the companion of man, she will stop the progress of knowledge and virtue, for truth must be common to all, or it will be inefficacious with respect to its influence on general practice. All right, what do you think about that sentence?
Is she like saying that like if women like have the chance to get an education, like I just like, is that what she's saying?
Yes.
That like they will like excel or whatever?
So it's a little bit lackluster of an argument, but again, this is progressive for 1800.
Yeah.
Not progressive by today's standards.
Yeah.
But what she's saying, if women are not educated to become the companion of man, okay, little homophobic still, little like dependency in the argument.
Yeah.
She's still saying like women should be educated so that they can be good partners for men.
Oh, what?
Yeah, not the best.
Yeah, not the best, but to start.
Yeah, so if she is not educated to become the companion of man, she will stop the progress of knowledge and virtue, because truth must be common to all, or it will be inefficacious or just ineffective.
Yeah.
With respect to its influence on general practice. So, in other words, everyone should be educated.
Yeah.
Everyone should be educated. Whatever.
Yeah.
And how can women be expected to cooperate unless she know why she ought to be virtuous? Unless freedom strengthen her reason, till she comprehend her duty and see in what manner it is connected with her real good. If children are to be educated to understand the true principle of patriotism, their mother must be a patriot, and the love of mankind from which an orderly train of virtue spring can only be produced by considering the moral and civil interests of mankind. But the education and situation of women at present shuts her out of such investments. So this whole thing is basically saying women should be educated so they can be good wives, so they can be good mothers, so they can be good teachers. All right.
Yeah.
Better than Talleyrand.
Yeah, a little bit better.
Yeah.
At least like they're trying to get education. That's good, but still.
Consider, sir, dispassionately these observations. There's probably a bunch of words in here that you have questions about.
Yeah.
What words do you want to talk about? Like dispassionately, you know what that means?
Just like not passionately?
Yeah. What does that mean? Not passionately. Why would you say consider dispassionately?
Like put your like views aside and like actually try to listen to what she said.
Good. Put your feelings aside.
Yeah.
Without passion, without feelings.
I'm trying to find some words. Like
inefficacious, I mentioned, is just
that one I didn't know, but you like explained it and it made sense.
All right, let's just keep going.
Yeah.
For a glimpse of this, consider, sir, dispassionately these observations. For a glimpse of this truth seemed to open before you when you observed that to see one half of the human race excluded by the other from all participation in government was a political phenomena that, according to abstract principles, it was impossible to explain. If so, on what does your constitution rest? If the abstract rights of man will bear discussion and explanation, those of woman, by a parity of reasoning, will not shrink from the same test. Though a different opinion prevails in this country, built on the very arguments which you use to justify the oppression of woman, prescription. Consider, let's see if we can make sense of that. Basically, she's saying you already, like, you acknowledge the argument I'm about to make, but you didn't actually counter it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it is a good argument style to start by saying, this is the argument you're probably going to make against me, and here's the counter argument. And she's basically saying, like, yeah, you did the first half of that, but not the second, right? You didn't actually make a counter argument.
Yeah.
If the abstract rights of man will bear discussion and explanation, those of woman by a parity of reasoning will not shrink from the same test. So you should also be able to explain the rights of women logically.
Yeah. That was like pretty good.
Yeah. Consider, I address you as a legislator, whether, when men contend for their freedom and to be allowed to judge themselves respecting their own happiness, it be not actually, this is a really good point right here, right?
Yeah.
So this guy is saying, hey, it's better for everyone's happiness if this happens. And she's
like,
saying,
well, what about, like literally.
Shouldn't we get to decide what makes us happy?
Yeah, like, how about we decide what makes us happy? Like, what?
Right, like, hey, super convenient that men making the rules, deciding what makes everyone happy, decided that it's better if women don't have rights. That's better for everyone's happiness.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, so like maybe if women were helping making the rules, maybe they wouldn't agree with you. Ever think of that?
Yeah, maybe they would actually like put in their own opinion, but.
Right. It be not inconsistent and unjust to subjugate women, even though you firmly believe that you are acting in the manner best calculated to promote their happiness. Who made man the exclusive judge if woman partake with him the gift of reason?
Okay.
So why not ask women?
Yeah.
Yeah. In this style, argue tyrants of every denomination, from the weak king to the weak father of a family, they are all eager to crush reason, yet assert that they usurp its throne only to be useful. Do you not act a similar part when you force all women, by denying them civil and political rights, to remain immured in their families, groping in the dark?
Okay. I kind of like don't get this part, but
what's a tyrant?
I don't know.
So a tyrant is someone who has authority by strength, not by consent of the governed.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So is it saying like that, like when it says they're all eager to crush reason, you always assert that they usurp its throne only to be useful.
Usurp means to take without, take unjustly or illegally.
Okay. So like, I'm trying to understand like what it means as like a whole.
So what is its throne? What does she mean here? Its throne. Usurp its throne. What is it?
Men? Like
it is reason.
Oh, reason. Okay.
They're eager to crush reason, yet always assert that they usurp its throne to be useful. So they're crushing reason. They are putting themselves in the throne of reason.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. They're like putting themselves like.
Let me tell you.
They decide what's like. Okay, yeah, that makes sense now.
Let me tell you what makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you not act a similar part to these tyrants when you force all women, by denying them civil and political rights, to remain immured in their families, groping in the dark? In other words, you're doing the same thing these tyrants do. You're deciding what's right on behalf of other people.
Yeah.
Who also have the gift of reason and could make decisions for themselves.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So for like the annotation thing.
You're tyrants.
Yeah.
All right. So that took us a long time to get through. That's a very hard passage to read.
Yeah.
So actually, we don't really have time left to actually get to the questions.
Yeah. Should we like do the questions next time after?
Why don't you try and do the questions on your own?
Oh yeah, okay, I'll do that.
So now
Yeah.
that we've annotated this and gone through it together and see if you can.
Yeah. Okay.